All right. Hello, everyone. We're gonna leave the music going, just because I would love to have music while I draw. This is some Harris Heller stuff. It's royalty-free music. There's playlists on Spotify. I highly recommend looking them up. There's also a lo-fi one. This is the EDM one. Wanted something a little bit more upbeat for today. If you can't hear it at all, let me know. This one sounds like it might be a little bit quiet. Um, but yeah, I don't want to have it quite as loud as I would for like a rhythm game or something. So I'm kind of guessing a little bit. I am actually going to turn it up just a touch. Okay. I feel like that should be alright. Cool. Welcome on in. Happy Sunday. I hope it's been a soothing Sunday for all of you as of this point. Your community challenge was met, and I am here to fulfill as best I can. This is new to me, trying to explain my process like this, so just bear with me while I try and find the words to explain how I do what I do, even though sometimes I don't even know. So we're going to start with some really simple stuff that people don't tend to think about. So we're going to go to cam only for a minute here. Hi. Mostly you won't be seeing me during this stream just because there's going to be so much stuff on my screen from the art program that I don't want to add another thing, such as the webcam. But anytime there's a redeem or something that requires me to show you something, or I'm trying to explain something about my hands and what they're doing, we'll pop over to here, or I'll throw up the camera on the art screen and we'll go from there. So first things first, I haven't drawn it yet today. I haven't warmed up, I haven't done anything. I also haven't drawn in a while, period, aside from the Celeste art that I did for Crad for his birthday like 2 weeks ago now. Okay, it might have only been a week, but still. So, things to do with your, usually you just kind of need this for your dominant hand, although spinners or other rhythm gamers do this with both. Stretch to the point that your fingers kind of like splay out and go a little bit like they curve. So you want to do that with both your hands, just kind of awesome like this for a second. And then kind of curl your thumbs in a little and point your hands down, kind of like flippers, and do this. And if you push your hand just a little bit, don't overdo it. You really, really, really do not want to overdo it. I say as my wrists crack. So there's a couple of those. Then you want to do the same thing where you push it back, so you pull it towards yourself. We're just loosening up the muscles a little bit, just so that you don't cramp up or anything while you're playing, while you're drawing. And then another one is if you make a fist and put your thumb on the side, like you would never do if you were going to punch someone. And then kind of like, so point it. So you point it forward and then just kind of like move it back and forth a little bit and point it forward. And this will just kind of help with the rotation a little bit. I don't usually do this with my left hand. It feels kind of weird. Emily, hello! I hope you're doing well today. And I'm adding in the cracking your knuckles. That's up to you guys, personal thing. But yeah, so my hands are pretty well loosened now. Usually I would still do a little bit of a warm-up, but I kind of want to get into the nitty-gritty, because whether or not you can tell, I'm actually quite nervous about this stream, so I kind of just want to get going, so I stopped thinking about it. So we're going to pop on over here. In the upper right, you're going to see a little bit of a slideshow going. This is art that I've got in my folders. Some of it I have in folder called my portfolio, even though I don't really like do anything with said portfolio. So what you're seeing in the upper right is pieces I've done in the past. Some of those stretch back quite a ways, as in there might be a couple from when I worked in Photoshop with a mouse rather than a tablet. But they've all been done, I think, over the past 10 years. I don't think I have any that are older than that. I was playing Mortal Kombat all day. It was time to stop when I couldn't do anything no more and wasn't even thinking. Me with Genshin last night. For those of you that are curious, I'm using a Wacom tablet. It's here. Let's swap back over to the cam for a second. It's actually not that big. Most people I know have a tablet that is quite bigger than quite a lot bigger than this. Probably like twice the size at least. But I find that this does what I need, and it also doesn't take up a lot of space, and it was cheaper. It is a Wacom tablet. I've heard murmurings that maybe Wacom's not the best to go, I think Q-Ion is the one that most people are recommending these days. Here's a tip. And I didn't know this until after I had owned this for like 2 years, I think. Almost any tablet you buy, when you pull the back off, it's gonna have, see these couple of little, they look like little rods that are snapped in there? They're extra tips for your pen. You can buy them, but most tablets will come with a couple of replacements if you start to wear it down. Now, if you're wearing down the tip of your pen super quickly, like I do, it means you're pushing too hard. So you want to have a much lighter hand when you're working with it. And you can adjust your pen pressure in the program to help with that. So there's that. So that's the equipment that I use. The program that I use is Clip Studio Paint Pro. Often will go on sale for like 50% off. I think I paid $25 for it when I got it. It's usually 50 if I remember correctly. Really good program. Now, if you don't have any money, it's okay. Excuse me. Most of what I'm going to show you today, so far as I'm aware, is pretty universal to most basic art programs. Oh, excuse me. So you should be able to apply it a little bit. And even, you should be able to apply it even to traditional art with like graphite on paper if you wanted. A lot of these are just going to be technique concepts that you should be able to apply. And then later on, we'll kind of get into me actually doing some scribbles. I've been training with Terminator last hour. I'm finally able to do combos with 2 other characters, which is a huge upgrade since last time I played fighter games. Nice! Congratulations. That sounds pretty sweet. When are you gonna go kick Ryan's ass? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. There are a couple of new channel redeems. So those are available right now, but they're just specific to today. So keep that in mind. Nowhere close to that? Fair enough. Trying to think if there's anything else. I think the last thing before I really get into starting here, if you're interested in any of the pieces you're seeing in that slideshow, there will be, my bot at some point will drop my email, but also if you go to this page, there's an email address on there that you can email and inquire about purchase of a digital copy. I can't print, unfortunately. I've been having trouble finding a printer that will print the colors properly, and I don't know how to really look for that. This is why I say I'm slightly less than amateur. I have some training, but not a lot. But I'm more than willing to sell the digital file, and you can go get it printed somewhere and framed. So if you're interested, feel free, no pressure. Yeah. Also, if you want a closer look at any of those, there's, I think I put a channel redeem for it, and you can take a look. And I'll pull it up on this page here. The big one. There we go. So that you can see it. But I've been tweeting all my fancy combos so I can remember how they look eventually. Good call. Good call. Okay. So I'm going to take a hit real fast. I'm going to take a sip of water, and we're going to get started. And the other thing is I'm constantly stretching my hands when I'm not actually drawing. Keep that in mind. It's a good way to keep your hands warmed up so that you don't cramp, which I will probably end up doing at some point today, and I'll have to take a brief pause, but I brought some Ritz crackers up with me that I'm going to eat when I do that. Okay. Taking a hit. And a drink of water. I hit one specific combo that's like 50 to 75% HP off, which is mad. Ooh. That is pretty mad. Damn. Okay. So, when you start, so I don't know if it'll show this. It will not. Okay. So when I say new, it brings up a page and it lets me decide like width, height, resolution, paper color, that kind of thing. Now, I'm actually really glad I did this because I think I just realized, yeah. So my default resolution is 72. Wait, is that what I wanted? Hang on. So sorry guys, give me half a second. Yeah, so default is 72. I usually jack the fuck out of this because, oops, sorry. If I don't, if I want to get a bigger print of it, I want to make sure it doesn't pixelate. So I think usually as long as you go 300, you're fine. Oops. Is that what I wanted? Why does this look weird to me? There we go. And I'm using what's called an A4, which is just a size. It's kind of like a good portrait size. So when you start, over here at the right, let me move my mouse a bit so you can see it. There's a transparent layer, which is what it will automatically select. So if I draw on it, it's only going to be on that layer. And then there's going to be a paper layer. I have this set to be a specific color. If you look up over here, you'll see that it's kind of a dark, or no, excuse me. There we go. It's pretty close to white. It's all the way over, so there's no color in it. But it's not all the way up at white. And this is because if you have a slightly darker background, or even if you go like a lot further and have it say like, oh my god, I forgot. It won't let me edit this layer. If I do like this color, this is going to let my lines stand out more and also my color, so I'll just have a better view of what I'm working on. I tend to not go that dark just because I feel like it affects how I approach the color later on. But yeah, I've got a decent darkness to it so I can see a bit. For now, we're just going to start with the pencil. And that's a pretty light pencil. Let's go a little bit darker. I'm just using the grays over here. So yeah. So if I do this, you can see the pen pressure change. This is nice and light, gets a little bit darker, and then gets really dark towards the bottom. I have this program specifically for me. There's not a whole lot of difference, really, because I'm not the greatest with line weight, but it's there. Which leads me into line weight. When you're drawing, let's say we'll do... Actually, my hand's still not warmed up. So let's say we've got a nice little cone here, and then, oops, we'll say there's like, oops, sphere, wait, why is this not, thank you, that was the wrong thing, like a sphere here. We'll say this is the table. I'm just holding shift to get a straight line as you tap where you want it to start, and then hold shift, and then you can just go bloop, and you'll have a straight line. It's really nice. And then we'll say, have like a rectangle back here. Oh, you wouldn't see that. Dingus. Okay, and then what the hell, we'll put one more, like, it'll be like a cube shape back here. So, line weight helps determine what's in the foreground and what's in the background. If I want to say that this ball and this cone, like the fuck is this, are, I'm gonna take this out, hang on, are at a level with each other, they're both right at the front of the table, I'm actually gonna make my line a little bit thicker as well. And we're gonna say that's where we want that. I know my lines aren't the greatest right now. That's not the important part. There we go, that's a little bit better. It's not the important part, I say while fixing it. Where your object touches a surface, you want it to be even a little bit darker and heavier of a line because it's going to indicate kind of the weight of that object. And also there's usually a little bit of a shadow even just like really at the edges of an object where it's there. So we want this circle to be the same. Well, you know what? I'm going to cheat just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. Hang on. I'm gonna make sure I use the right size. I'm at an 8 there. What am I at here? Oh wow, that's far too large. No, it's not. There we go. Okay, so in an art program, if you want a perfect circle, hold Shift, click, and drag. Then you lift off Shift, but it's not quite put down yet, so you just tap it once because it lets you like move it around if it's an ellipse. So just to make this a little bit more visible, we're going to take care of some of the sketch lines real quick here. But now I know I have a nice circle, so that's fun. All right, and then it needs to be a little bit thicker. It's not quite as thick as it needs to be. So, oops, that's not gonna work. See if it'll let me. Nope. Okay, we're just gonna do this the old-fashioned way. And the old-fashioned way is by hand. All right, so we're just gonna make this just a little bit thicker. Ruin my perfect circle. And then remember, you want this to come down a little bit. Now, because the sphere is sitting a little bit on this line, it is a little bit closer than the triangle. So I'm just gonna kind of add just a little bit more here. This cube in the background, let's say it's like really, really, really far off. So I'm just gonna kind of do this. It's a thinner line, and then I'm gonna take my eraser and I'm gonna knock it down to like 30% opacity, so oops, so it doesn't erase too much, hopefully. Wow, that's erasing more than it should. Hello? There we go. Just kind of lighten that just a little bit, thin out that line a little, but keep it where it's at. Let's see. Oops. Okay. And then we'll say the bottom of it's like here. That'd be a little bit more match. There we go. This rectangle is between this cube and this sphere. So it needs to be somewhere between this line weight. So we'll say, probably if I do like 2 of these, yeah. Line weight was always hard for me in any of my drawing classes just because, especially when you're working with traditional stuff like a pencil, it can, like, if you grip your pencil too hard, if you push too hard, you gotta learn to have a light hand, and I do not have a light hand. I'm very heavy-handed. All right, so this one's gonna get 3 across the bottom because that's where it touches the table, so it's gonna be a little bit heavier there. So see how we almost already have a little bit of, especially if I zoom out, here's another tip. When you zoom out, it's gonna give you an impression of what it looks like from a distance, and oftentimes it's a good way to test if your perspective is correct. Funnily enough, this is actually tilted a little. There we go. Cool. So now you can kind of see already where, with just the line weight, there's a feeling of depth to this. Now the next thing that still deals with line weight is that where things intersect line-wise, you want to emphasize that point on the thing that's closest. So like this cross is here, so this line is going to be a little bit heavier. Just a little bit. And then same thing down here. And it's not across the whole thing. It's just a little, right where they touch. And that kind of defines those places a little bit more even. I'm trying to think. Where do I want to go from here? Where you wanna go, how much you wanna. I'm looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts. Some superhuman. Sorry. Where's my little notepad? Oh. This is perfect. So I'm just gonna buff up this line here real quick. Perfect. So, there is an argument that occurs in the artist community and otherwise. And this is my opinion on this argument. No artist makes art without a reference. If you're seeing... Hello, Em. It's good to see you. Thank you for the excellent. No artist can work without a reference. If you're envisioning something in your head, you're still basing that on something. So use reference. Now, this is not me telling you to trace. Have I traced at times? Yes. Do I still trace at times? Yes. If you're going to sell anything or post it online, don't trace it. Because at that point, you're plagiarizing. But if you're just doing it for your own practice, trace away, man. Like, I can tell you right now that how I'm able to draw hands has gotten better because I've literally traced hands multiple times, trying to get a feel for what the lines look like and how the anatomy works. If you have the patience to study anatomy, by the way, do it, because it'll really, really, really help you with your figures, even though I don't do that, because you. I'm terrible at it, but it's fine. Most of my shit is atmospheric, so it works. Most of my shit. But let's say, let me pull up my browser for a second. Oh my god, I can't type. Alright, so I just went to Google. I typed in still life reference for drawing. I'm gonna go to tools. Not tools. What is it? Oh, I'm gonna go to images. And then I'm gonna go to tools, and I'm gonna go to usage rights. I'm gonna click on it and click Creative Commons license. This will mean that anything I grab is it's okay. I'm allowed to do that. Ooh, this will be a good one. Let's use this one. So I'm gonna take this image and I'm gonna I'm actually just gonna do that. I'm gonna put this image in here. So usually I would put this in a different window so that it doesn't get in the way, but honestly, this will be fine. So I can't do that because otherwise you guys won't be able to see it. I'm going to create a new layer, so I'm not drawing on the layer with the image because these things happen. However, it's annoying. Delete the layer, Crunk. Wrong layer. Also tip, name your layers, guys. I have like an anxiety attack every time, not actually, every time I see an artist streaming and I look and they have like 100 layers and none of them are labeled. Just like, how do you keep track of that? Now that being said, I'm not always consistent with labeling. But anyway. So, here is a reference image. Don't laugh at me. You won't like me then. Oh, Emily, why? Why? I can never remember what's on what layer. How the fuck do you keep track of that shit? So something that I learned in art class, which I had never known what these things were called, I just always loved how they looked, is why waste time on naming? So that I don't waste time going through 100 layers trying to figure out what was what. That's why. I learned of what a gesture means in art. And a gesture in art is kind of hard to explain, but it's almost like finding the flow of the image without worrying about being accurate to it quite yet. And we were told to move either top to bottom or left to right when we do this. So what you would do is you'll look at this image and you'll say, all right, the topmost line, I'm ignoring the texture in the background, by the way. So the topmost line is the top of this apple, but it kind of starts in the middle of nowhere, and I really don't want to do that. So we're going to start here with the book. So I'm going to move left to right. So this starts about, I don't know what, like a little less than a third of the way up. So probably right about here-ish, which I can also just mark because I can go across here. But, you know, you can't always do that if you're sitting across the room from something. So it kind of, and the point is to not lift your pencil, by the way. So it kind of comes over here, and then you get the shape of the apple, and I am kind of coming back and forth like this. You don't have to do that. In fact, I'm pretty sure we were told not to, but it's a habit I have. So like it comes down and then it comes back out, and then we've got like books. Oops. Okay. I haven't done this in a minute, so it's kind of hard. And then it kind of comes this way, right? So that's the full move left to right like that, and then you're gonna come back going the opposite direction. We're gonna say, all right, there's like a, oops, you're not supposed to erase, don't judge, this and this. You can go back along your lines, but you're not supposed to. But I'm trying to instruct, so we're gonna give me a pass on that today. And then it kind of straightens out when it hits that book. And then this is kind of the top of it here. And this hits right about here. So like, this isn't perfect, as you can tell. Here's the demo here. But the more you go back over it, the more of an idea you should have. Okay? Everything you've said not to do is exactly how I draw. Scoots, same. Like, I'm focusing really hard right now on doing this the proper way. We will get into what my approach is, because I am going to show you, like, I'll give you like a base sketch to potentially line work, and you'll see that I probably break every single thing that I've told you at this point. And also keep in mind that art is subjective, both in how you approach it and in what you consider art and what you like. So like, these tips helped me, but they also helped me more so figure out how to refine what I was already doing, I guess. If there's a will, there is a way. Yeah, I'm terrible at it, so I guess that doesn't say much. Scoots, I was terrible at art too. And there are a few redeems that, depending on what you guys redeem, you could potentially see that. I'm still bad at art sometimes, man. You just, it's practice. Practice, practice, practice. I don't know any artist that will look at you and tell you that, like, they were born drawing this way. Oh, don't tell me there are fun redeems. I mean, they're just kind of, they're not like particularly crazy or anything, but I wanted to give you guys a couple of special things to spend some points on today if you wanted to. So, now that I have this, I'm actually, because once again, I'm a little heavy-handed, I'm going to knock down the opacity on this. Relatively speaking, gestures should be probably about this light, especially if you're working with traditional, like, graphite and paper, because then what you're going to want to do is you're going to take the thing and you're going to say, all right, now I'm going to start defining stuff a bit. So like this apple on a, on a new layer, Simon. Kinda does like this. I also don't tend to draw digitally with like where I click and hold like this. I tend to work in swipes. So this is kind of rough for me to try and do this, but it's also good for me. There's a little bit of an indent here. And then it kind of comes, oops, up like this. Up like this. There we go. Yeah, fuck it. This is still gonna be kind of a sketch. Then there's the little stem in here, and it's got this on the top. And now I'm gonna cheat because now I'm working digitally at this point, so I can do things that you can't usually do. So this comes over to here. Oops. I'm letting it come over the apple a little bit because that line's gonna be darker anyway, so it'll work nicely. And then this is coming like to like here-ish, yeah. And then edge of book 1. Edge of book 2. This is where if I had found my vanishing point, my life would be better, but I didn't, so it's not. This comes out right about here, and then goes back to like here. So see how it's a little bit off of where the gesture was? But I'm still kind of using it as a guideline a bit. Just like, this is really not the greatest, however. And then this comes down to like here. And that goes over that way. Okay. Yeah, that kind of goes like that. So like, not great, but if I were to add some color to this image and a couple more small lines, you'd kind of get the idea of what I was going for, right? And then you can apply the other things that I said, which was closer things are going to have thicker lines. So this book is going to be nice and thick. And this is like going away from me, so this is going to be thicker here and kind of taper out a bit as it goes back. This is both touching the table and is close, so it's got to be a little bit thicker like that. This is touching the table. We want that nice and thick. This is 2 books. Oops. So you want to kind of do that. This is pretty close too. The apple sits here, so we're gonna kind of emphasize that. And then that was part of my problem. Okay, we're gonna knock down my eraser opacity, so it's only gonna take just a little bit, just a little bit. This is another thing that you wouldn't have to do if I hadn't pushed so hard and made my lines so dark. We'll kind of do that. And that kind of fades it out, and then this will be faded out a little bit more as well. The apple's a little dark. We'll make it a little less. So, already defining the forms way more than they were. And we haven't even done any shading on it, you guys. Now, again, not the greatest image. It's okay. I'm just kind of doing this to show it off. This is how I took notes in my art class. Is we were told that we could write it in a notebook if we wanted, but oftentimes it helped to be able to sketch it out and write notes next to it, and so that's what I did. I have that sketchbook still. I was kind of looking at it last night being like, oh, this is really interesting. But yeah, so now if I tried to do this without a reference, we're gonna take this away. And I'm gonna, let's say, we'll put it on like a table again. We'll say it's gonna be like a, wow, I can draw. Say it's gonna be like a table like this, kind of like this. Oh, table. Just, oops. Helps if my eraser isn't at 5%. There we go. So, table. And then I'm like, we're gonna try and put like something back here, here, and maybe like, I don't know, like an thing like this, and then put like an apple on top of it or something. I can tell you right now, my perspective is off. This would need to be flatter for what I'm trying to do. It's by that much. Quite a bit, actually, if you look at it. Quite a bit. And this is gonna have to be moved down. Like, already I'm adjusting more than I needed to. Wiz, you're here to learn. Are you sure you don't want to be the one teaching? Because I'm not sure I'm qualified for this. I am trying though. And I'm kind of having fun. Alright, so like that's how I emphasize reference. You're a wonderful teacher, thank you. Because literally this quick sketch that took me about as long as the gesture, and then I immediately had to go in and edit it, and it took me twice as long as the gesture alone, is nowhere near this. Which this, I could immediately take. I could grab my line work tool that I use, which is, it's literally just like a pen, instead of like an airbrush or whatever I'm working with, and start doing hard line work and make it look good. Whereas if I were to take this would probably take me another 5 to 10 minutes to fix it up to the degree that I could do that with. So this is ways to save yourself time as well. One other thing, and this one I'm gonna have to switch over to the full cam to show you guys. Hang on. So, probably one of the most interesting tools that I learned was a sighting stick, which it's totally fine if you don't have it. It's literally just a rod of wood. It helps if they're a little bit longer, like 6 to 8 inches maybe. And what you can do, we won't use that. I actually found this useful in the field for geology. This one took me a minute to like wrap my head around how it works and how to do it. If I am looking at like a still life or something, say, and I'm trying to create it on the page that I have on a flat surface in front of me, I'm going to take my sighting stick or my pencil or whatever I have. I'm going to hold it lightly between my thumb and pointer, so kind of so you can do like the rubber band thing almost. And I'm gonna look at it, and I'm going to turn my hand. So say I'm gonna go for like, there's nothing angled here. So say I'm gonna go for like the edge of my webcam and that line. I'm trying to draw that line. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna rotate it until I line up with that. Hang on, I gotta remember if I'm doing this right. Yeah, okay, the webcam's not the best. So we're gonna do the top of my computer instead, the monitor. So I'm gonna like, we'll say it's at an angle. So I'm gonna put it like this, okay? So say that's at my computer angle. Thank God it's not. That would be really unfortunate. If I take this and drop it, here's the important part, straight down. Straight down. Do not bend your arm or move it from where you had it. If I drop it straight until it lands on the page, the angle of that sighting stick is the angle of the line I need to put. I'm gonna say that one more time. If I take my sighting stick, pencil, whatever, my tool, hold it lightly, and turn it till it lines up with whatever line I'm trying to recreate, and drop it straight down onto the page, the line of that pencil will be the line that you need to draw. Art is a lot about how you see things. I had a friend who recently started hecking around. They came into possession of a tablet that they wanted to mess around with and started doing so, and I was like, I don't remember what we were talking about. It was something similar to this, and how I was talking to him about what he was working on. And I said, it will change, working on art will change how you view things in the world. Your brain will start to train itself. When you look at something, it'll start breaking it down as to how you, like, your brain will say, if I was to approach this with drawing, how would I do it? So something that aids in this is knowing how to break things down into basic shapes. If I gotta switch over to the, hang on. Let's say I'm driving down the road. We all know when you look forward, there is like a horizon line of some sort. Basically what this means is this is where your eye level will be. So if I put this up higher, it's going to be like I'm looking up at something. And if I put it lower, it's going to be like I'm looking down at something. So I'm going to put it here because I want more depth into the picture, because we're going to say that I'm driving and I'm going to put a little vanishing point right here. And what that vanishing point means is that everything in this image is moving in that direction. So that means the road that I'm driving down is going to disappear into it like that. And then we'll say, you know, there were some trees on the side of the road. I'm gonna do this on a different layer. So we'll say they were pine trees. What do you think of when you think of a pine tree? Think of Christmas, right? Oftentimes, anyway. Not everybody does. So we'll say, oop, here's the other, oh, this is the thing that I always forget to do. In art, move from the background to the foreground. It will save your eraser's life. And your patience. So we'll say there's some trees out here. Now, the trees out here are going to be really hard to see because they're really far in the distance, right? So we're just going to kind of give an impression of the tops of some trees here. And they aren't necessarily pine trees. They could be bushes. They could be whatever. Maybe, oops. Maybe a couple of them are like real tall. And you're like, what the hell? Where did that tree come from? That's been there for a while, you know? And we're just going to kind of keep doing that, and then they kind of fade out into here. Perspective! Yep. We'll kind of do this. Who knows? Maybe they're like cliffs off in the distance or something. You just kind of do that. Okay. Is this amateur Bob Ross? Maybe that's what I should have titled it. DJ. Yeah, it's a little bit of amateur Bob Ross hour, I'm not gonna lie. Give me a second to like stretch my hand out, guys. I'm still, like I said, I haven't worked on art in a minute, so my hand's liable to be a little shitty with me today if I'm not nice to it. Oh, here's a tip for anyone who's able to get it. If you're an artist, if you use your hands a lot, if you're a rhythm gamer, whatever, if your hands tend to get sore, let me tell you, CBD, like lotion or bud balm is fucking amazing. I recommend putting it on before you start whatever you're gonna do that's making your hands hurt, though. At least with the bud balm. I've never used the CBD lotion, but I use bud balm. I'm almost out of it. Sad face. Okay. I'm gonna take a hit. Highly recommend compression gloves. I was wondering if what you were wearing yesterday were compression gloves, Scoots. TJ, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of felt like I was channeling him for a second when I was doing that. Speaking of which, if you guys aren't following the Bob Ross channel on Twitch, like, do yourselves a favor and follow it, because not only is it one of the like chillest places to just go and I just close the chat and just listen, but also like I've absorbed a lot of things. I have a couple of the images actually going through the slideshow up there in the right corner. I did is like an attempt to kind of replicate things he was doing. Got a pair of virtual motion compression gloves, and they really do help. If I don't, DJ Max kills my hands and wrist. Ooh, yeah, it was CBD lotion. It comes from pot plants, but it's not THC. That's the biggest, or that's the best explanation I can give right now without really getting into it, because my brain doesn't want to function. But yeah, I don't know if it's legal where you're at, Wiz. I'm not sure. The CBD can be a little dicey sometimes. Dicey in the way of like where you can find it. So many CBD shots. I'll have to try that. Oh yeah. I have this bud balm stuff that was given to me after surgery last year. And it was homemade, I guess, and it works pretty well. It definitely helps with spin, I'll tell you that. Okay, so let's go back to this. So we've got our whatever this is in the background, trees, rocks, whatever, bud balm, right? Here, actually, hang on. Where is there it is. Bud balm. It looks about how you'd expect it to. Oh my god, it looks like a face! Anyway, yeah, that's what I use. Look back in this. I was dealing with wrist pain last year when I was working from home because my work computer actually sat at knee level, so I was reaching down a bit to type. Ooh. That's awesome, it's screaming. Hi, one or two of the new redeems don't seem to be letting me do it, just so you're aware. Which ones did you try? That's weird. What the fuck? Alright, hang on. Rewards, channel points. I don't know why they wouldn't be working. Refreshing did not fix it. What the hell? Okay, let me... Sound alert worked, so that's weird. The compression gloves really helped a lot. I highly recommend them, and I'm not even sponsored by them, but I would absolutely take one if they ever approached me. AJ and I have agreed we'll only ever do a sponsorship if it's either a product we already use or they'll let us try out the product before we agree to sponsorship. Oh, hell yeah. Alright, let me see if maybe... Let me try pulling up my stream on the normal page. Oh, please don't make me hear myself. There we go. I'm just gonna try a couple of these real fast. Okay, so let me do scribble. And let me do archive. Okay, so give me 2 seconds because I'm gonna have to clear those now because otherwise it's gonna yell at me that like the cooldown's not gonna let you guys use that. Do request queue. Reject. Okay. Hopefully it will let you do it now. Also helped with my issue where I tend to grip my controller or mouse too hard if I'm struggling in a game. Okay, that is gonna make me look at the compression gloves because I do the same. Fergie? No, go away, Fergie. Go on. Alright, so basic shapes. We'll say, you know what, we're not gonna do a bunch of trees because that's gonna take me a while. Excuse me. We'll say there's like a building over here on the left. I need to keep in mind the horizon line because the top of that building is going to go parallel to the road line heading in the direction of the horizon line. Or excuse me, not parallel because it's going to be up above the horizon line. But it's going to keep going in that direction. So like here's where that is. I don't want the building to be the entire length of that though, so we're gonna kind of knock it off about there. And then you just drop the edge straight down. So this, if I then take this and I go, this doesn't exist because it's behind that. And then I take care of this. This is the wrong eraser to be using, but it's fine. Now we have more perspective. Cheap and so helpful. Noted. Noted. And then we'll say there's... I did it again. I moved to the foreground before it was technically ready to be moved to. In digital art, the cheap trick to fix that is to just create another layer and drop it behind the... that's supposed to be in front of it. So now everything I draw will technically be behind this building here. I can make that more obvious by doing not that. Jesus. Oh, it's because I don't. It's fine. It's fine. It's whatever. Fergie, I swear fuck cat. You're driving me nuts already. So then we'll say there's a tree over here. So, or actually bushes. So if there's bushes, I'm not gonna cheat this time. There's gonna be like a bush. Now I need to remember that as they go this way, they're gonna get smaller, right? But literally all I'm doing for a bush is I'm determining its size, and then I'm just gonna put this circle here. We'll just say, yeah, there's some bushes around here. And then maybe there's like tree here, and we kind of know that trees do it like this. You know, I don't know. Give it a branch down there. Yeah. Okay. And then maybe it's got like, I don't know, some leaves or some shit like this. Okay. And then maybe over here there's just a fucking parking lot, which is going to mirror the shape of the edge of the road. And the lines for the lot itself are literally just going to be parallel to this because I'm going to have the cars parking this way. And this line here determines where the edge of, or the end of that goes. So you just kind of run them like this. And those are a little off, but it'll work. Fergie. Jesus. Yeah. So I was trying to talk about how to break down basic shapes for this. I didn't really do the best example for that. And then how about so like technically if it's a road, it's gonna be, we'll make it a 2-lane. So there'd be a line, fuck, like this, and then it would kind of do this. Oh, the soft edge of that is making it blurry. That's weird. But then also we're gonna say, it's gonna be a little bit lighter out here because it's going off into the distance. There we go. And then we'll say there's a car, which I'm literally just going to draw as a box. And then the top of it is going towards the horizon line and the vanishing point again, as are the sides. So this side here is going this way towards it. This edge that you're not seeing is also going that way, and so is this top. That's kind of how you figure out that you're going the right way. And then we'd know that there's wheels. You kind of be able to see one back here a little bit. And there's your car. Maybe put a back window on it. So this isn't quite a gesture, although the trees kind of give you that impression. And then, let's say maybe there's, actually I got an idea. So there's some depth to this image. There's a little bit of the breakdown of how you would break down a shape. And even if you're just like looking at a person, okay? Let's say you're looking at a person. You know how people are like, oh, all I can draw is stick figures. Okay. Thank you, TJ. I really appreciate it. If you can draw a stick figure, you're on your way to drawing a person. You're actually well on your way to drawing a person. Because here's the thing. If I draw stick figure, I'm making the head a circle. And then this line here is, well, this is your spine, right? And when you draw the arms off to the sides, well, what if we just said, instead of doing them just right off the spine, because your arms don't come right off your spine, what do they come off of? They come off of your shoulders. And there's this line that happens between your shoulders and your hips that some people have in a way that shows them as like an hourglass, right? And then your shoulders, you can kind of just say, you know what? If you knock them down to their basic shape, they're kind of just circles, right? And then there is kind of this line here that's like your, like your pelvic muscles, basically. And it doesn't come to a straight tip. And the way people put the legs off, right? Because everybody has thighs and hips, This is not the greatest way of doing this, you guys, just so you know. And also, this will help me, people have a rib cage. And that rib cage kind of makes that shape, right? There's where my problem is. Okay, so you've got your rib cage. I've never tried to explain this way. It's really funny. And then you got kind of like, your hips, right? So there's a little bit under it. And then here's that part of the thighs again. And they kind of come out like this. Remember what I said about me and anatomy. Just keep this in mind, okay? This is why I'm a slightly less than amateur here, guys. And then this is the part that I struggle with a lot, is like, we're gonna say yeah, we'll say right about there. Damn, those hips don't lie, yeah. So, like, here's your shoulder, down to the elbow, say. And then we'll say that, like, you know, this is that muscle part of your arm that kind of fades in a little bit, and we do that. And we'll kind of say, you know, you wouldn't see all that much of it there because of the way it's turned. And bless you, Fergie. And then there's, like, you know, a hand. And then this kind of comes down, same here and here. Okay? Now, this is literally just from a stick figure. You just gotta fill it in a little bit more. So it's not that you can only draw stick figures, it's you're doing the first step. And then you gotta fill it in a little bit. So then, like, you know, faces aren't totally round like this, right? You kind of got your, like, cheekbones and then your jawline and give it a little bit of shape. Figure out where the eyes are gonna go. You know? Maybe make it a little angry. Maybe a little sly. You can't really see the face, but it's fine. You know? Oh, hello! Wow, I love seeing humans broken down into shapes. It makes it so much more logical. Right. And here's the other thing. I didn't even use the most basic of shapes. If you wanted to do that, you could just say, "Oh, I hope it's going well. I hope you're well. It's been a minute." Circle, triangle, rectangle, rectangle, probably another triangle for this part, for the upper arms, and then like maybe like a thinner triangle, like this. Same thing. You just have to figure out how your brain likes to break things down. What makes sense to you? Because, like, to me, this looks like this one on the right looks too scribbly. It's not defined. It looks like the Power Rangers robot. Perfect. It looks like something. It's going pretty good for me, Paul. I'm having an interesting time trying to explain how my brain breaks things down. But, like, if this makes sense to you, and you could say, yeah, no, I totally see how this line here can be made into a shoulder that I can then make into full arm. You know, that works. If that's how your brain works, do it. Hell, you could even stylize it and say, you know what? I just actually want to make a character that looks like that. Like, I want that to be their thing. Okay, well... Then we're gonna do this is kind of hard to see. I might go over it a little bit with color. Hang on. Here, actually, we'll do this. Yeah. See? Dude made of shapes. Only been here a minute, but sounds great so far. Thank you. There's more to, like, character design as well when it comes to shapes. So, the only thing I remember, I used to have a roommate who was an illustration major, and they were doing character design and things. If you're trying to get a certain feeling across, the shapes that you break a character down into can influence that feeling. So if I'm like... Oh my god, I wish I could draw Baymax off the top of my head. I might be able to come close. Hang on. Oops, wrong button. We'll do that. Oops. Okay. New one. So we'll say Baymax is... This is not actually gonna look like Baymax because I can't fucking do it right now because hey, I'm not using a reference. Use references, you guys. Okay. Here, look, it's a Snorlax. That's what this is. This is a Snorlax. And his belly kind of goes like this, right? Right? Maybe? Perfect. And he's like sleeping. Z. Yep, just like that. Circles are going to make your characters seem more cozy, more comfortable, more approachable, softer. Whereas let's see who recognizes it first. God, it's been a minute. God, I can't remember what the rest of her looks like. Hang on. Ah, okay. This is if everything is diamond shaped. Kind of gives off a harsher vibe. Sorry, I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to tell that that's Peridot from Steven Universe. I actually used to draw Peridot a lot. Steven Universe characters are very good for practice. Why? Because they're all broken down into basic shapes. They're already there for you, you know? So that's really helpful. But all of this to say that when you look at things, that is the wrong thing. This is why we label our layers. There we go. You can break them down into things so that you look at this and you say, this is just a triangle. Actually, it is kind of a triangle going into this horizon line. And this car is just a rectangular... Fuck. What are shape names? I don't remember. But, like, even if you do, like... Okay, so instead of doing this tree like this, I'm going to say trees have a base. And we can usually see that that base comes up, right? So we're going to say rectangle. And then usually there's, you know, some other branches coming off. Maybe with like a couple really thin ones somewhere. And then you're like, I want leaves all over it. Boom. That's a tree. If you're not convinced... Oops. Hang on. How about... Damn it, I'm hitting the wrong thing. Oh well. How about now? Look like a tree to you? Looks like a tree to me. I could design an entire image around that tree, and it is scribbles. One of the biggest things I've learned in art, I'm gonna come over to here for a minute. One of the biggest things I've learned in art, and actually watching Bob Ross has re-emphasized this in a pretty hefty manner for me. Suggest what you're trying to draw. Rather than, like, if you want to get really super fucking detailed and zoom into the tiniest pixels and, like, make sure that everything looks as accurate as possible, that is one way to do it. But it's a lot easier to to just suggest, persuade that it's there than anything else. And then when you pull out to the further view, you'll be like, holy shit, wow, that actually does look like something. Yeah, yeah, it does. I actually, let me see if I can find like a really good example of this. Um, no. I gotta have some around here somewhere. Oh, I know. Alright, you guys are gonna get some redeems for free since apparently they're still not working anyway, and also, these emphasize my point really, really well. Tree. You wanna know how I started this image? Threw color on it. Randomly. Started moving it around, looked at it and went, huh, that kinda looks like a tree. Threw a trunk on it. Tree! It's a pretty nice tree! Now, obviously there's more to it. You've got the lighting going, the brush textures that I'm using and everything, but like, the leaves are not defined. The things that you're seeing in there, that's just the brush texture. I didn't go in here and draw each of these things individually. Fuck no. I don't have that kind of patience. I took a brush and I swiped it over a couple of times and went, yeah, those kind of look like leaves. If I put them in the right lighting and the right environment, someone's gonna look at those and go, yeah, those are leaves. That's a tree. Pretty nice tree. The other one I did this with, I took it to a little bit of an extreme on this one. There is no definition anywhere in this picture, but you know what it is. Oh my god, I'm a dumbass. You guys. Tree. So these little individual things in here, I forgot I was on my camera. Sorry about that. These little individual things in here. You're talking about the other tree. Yeah, fair. That's a tree, all right. Yeah. So I took a brush and I just kind of like threw it on the page and saw that it made a texture. These wonderful little these shapes in here. I didn't draw any of those individually. That's part of a brush. And the brushes that I get are not, I don't pay for them. I paid for the program, which was 25 bucks when I got it at 50% off. But like, the brushes are there. So I looked through and found something that when I put it on the page, I went, okay, if you put this in the right lighting, in the right environment, in the right atmosphere, with the right colors, tree. Slap a trunk on it, put in some lighting, and you're good. I took it to the extreme with this one. No definition, but you know what it is. It's a path through woods while it's snowing. This one actually has some of my favorite like feeling to it, especially because when you zoom out, your brain tells you it's even more detailed. It's not. Implication, imply, suggest. Let people figure it out. Like, oh, hey look, there's a little bit of like a tree trunk there. Maybe like a branch out here, how it looks like. Yeah, a little bit. Nifty, right? Now, there are a couple other things that these images have going for them. I'll get there in just a second. I'm gonna stretch my hand, drink some water. I've been talking a lot today. Where did you go away? That'll be home soon. I'll feed you then. Meow. Okay. So one of the last things. Hello there. At Fergie. Sorry for the silence radio when I was streaming. I thought my mic was... Oh my god! I thought about saying something. I wasn't sure if you had done it on purpose, and I just assumed. Alright, next time that happens, I will make sure to poke you. You're totally fine. Okay. I'm about to teach you a very, very simple thing that can help you make an image look put together when you're doing a full piece without you really having to do much. And this will actually help you come up with a full piece as well. So we're going to take all of these, we're going to go the fuck away. I don't need those anymore. And then make sure this is clear, and we're going to fill it with... Oops. Oop, that's too dark. I don't want to do it that dark. Argy, shut up. Don't make me lock you out. Okay. This is one of the most basic things that you can do that will really, really help with how you lay things out. So this page is from 0 to 4100. So halfway is 20.5. So a third is going to be, you know what, fuck it, we're just going to estimate it. Does this look like about a third? Oh, this program also has something called guidelines that you can create. So I'm going to click on the ruler and drag down, see this line? And I'm going to take that to about a third of the way down, which I think is about there. And then I'm going to take another one and I'm going to bring it down here. Don't worry, we're not playing tic-tac-toe. Bring this one in a third. And bring that one in a third. Those mostly even. Oops. Center's a little bit bigger on that. Okay. X top left, please. Your move. Oh. X top left. O center. Carrot, your move. Come on, Carrot. Yikes, set myself up for failure? Whose fault is that? X top center? Indeed, Wiz. Oop. Hang on. I did that wrong. Alright, thank you guys. That was great. I appreciate that so much. That was hilarious. Okay. Shut up, Fergie. How did this happen? Simon stoned and being yelled at by a cat. Okay, so I have broken this up into... Hang on a second. Get out. Go. One. Fucking cat. Alright. So, if any of you are into photography, you might be recognizing what I'm working on, or what I'm doing here. This is called the rule of thirds. Your action points, what you want the eye to be drawn to, should be at your intersections or near the intersections. That's, yeah, photography here, yeah. Or like centered, but you want to use these lines to find the composition of the image. I might have misjudged you. I won't make this mistake again. Oh, you two are hilarious. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of outline these, because if I don't, they, oh shit, I did it the wrong way. Okay, now I can do this. No, I can't actually draw a line this straight. The guidelines are letting me. Okay, and then we're gonna kind of fade these out so they're in the background. I heard there was some tic-tac-toe. There was, unfortunately, due to a party foul. It was an L game. Rule of thirds comes up everywhere. Welcome in, Mr. Bones. It's good to see you. I hope you're having a soothing Sunday. So, rule of thirds. You want your action points to be at the intersections, or along the lines, or near the lines. Like these are the things that will help you form a composition. That's hilarious. That considers Streamlabs or / Twitch considers my email to be an @ like I'm being added in the chat. That's hilarious. Anyway, that's the email that you can send a message to if you like these images in the upper right, or any of the ones in my gallery. They are available for digital purchase, and then you can like print it and get it framed yourself, and I have no qualms about that. But depending on which piece it is, the price might vary, so we chat about it. But yeah, oh look, it's Blathers! Anyway, so there's an image actually in that slideshow of some mushrooms, and then yesterday Kai was posting some pictures of some mushrooms, and I just really like mushrooms, you guys. I always have. Me and a friend used to draw them all the time when we were kids. Mushroom pictures forest. Remember what I said about using references? So I just typed in mushroom pictures forest, went to the images in Google, I'm going to tools, saying Creative Commons license, taking a look. Let's see what we got here. What do I want to use? Mushrooms are so cool. Fuck yeah, they are. Alright, I don't want to have this be like a super involved photo, so we're gonna do photo drawing. Ooh, this looks like fun. Okay. Oops, wrong thing. File. Create new from clipboard. Can you guys see that? Oops. Wrong button. You can. Alright. So this is what I'm going to be using for my reference photo. You're probably not going to be able to see it. It's fine. I'm going to move this over here. I'm just putting this is one of the handy things about having a second monitor, is I can put my reference on my second monitor, so I don't always have to click through the fucking tabs to get it back up or whatever, or squish this canvas to do so. They defy death by living through decay. They do. They do. Okay. So I'm gonna have them be kind of biggish mushrooms, and they're gonna be on a slight hill, maybe? Do I want to do it that way? Actually, we're gonna do it this way. So when I do a base, like, concept sketch, I will often use the airbrush tool, and I'll often use this like purpley color and just kind of knock my brush density down. So we're now at the point of the stream where I'm going to take what I've shown you and combine it with my own approach and just kind of show you how I approach a piece. feel free to pause me and ask questions if you have any. Yeah, we'll see where this goes. We'll see where this goes. So I'm gonna have my horizon line. I want to kind of be looking almost straight on at the tops of them. So if that's the case, I'm gonna put my horizon line. Oops, I'm just gonna do it like this. Probably right about here. That's a little high. Ah! No, don't cut the entire layer. Let's say there. And before I make another dingus move, we're gonna put this on the guide layer. That's a little too high. We'll say like here-ish. And I'm gonna put my vanishing point here. I'm gonna just make it a little bit bigger so I can see it better. I lied. We're gonna put it... Ooh, I got an idea. Okay, so I'm gonna combine a couple of things here. We're gonna put the horizon line a little bit higher than I intended. That's because I'm gonna put the vanishing point right here. So it's gonna be right on this intersection here, and we're gonna see how that affects things. I don't think I've ever done that like right into there. We're gonna see what happens. So for the base sketch, I want to have a big old tree trunk here. So I want the edge of a tree. And then we'll say that the tree's roots kind of come out like this, but they're going to be nice and big. And this doesn't need to be here, but it also doesn't need to be erased fully just because, like, this is the very, very base sketch. Yeah, we'll have the nice round tree coming like this. Maybe, I don't know. I don't usually try and come up with a composition on the fly, and I thought about this a little bit last night, but I hadn't come up with like exactly what I wanted to do, so my apologies if this actually... I'm currently looking at this going, this would be a little cramped, Simon, and the other part of me is like, fuck it, just go with it. And honestly, that's the part you want to follow in art, because it will make you try new things, and if you fail, you'll learn something. Although, I challenge you to describe failure when you've learned something, because that's not failure, it's learning. Anyway, so these mushrooms over here look really cute, and I want to do one here-ish. The nice thing about mushrooms is, for base sketches, the shape is pretty simple. And yeah, I am making these pretty big. It's fine. Everything's fine. Actually, if I'm gonna make them this big, hang on. Oops, too far. If I'm gonna make them that big, what you're gonna see on the tree trunk is actually gonna be just where it kind of... right where it hits the ground. I need to look at an image. Again, reference. Because I just can't think of what it looks like. Base of tree in forest. I just need to kind of get an idea of how I want to... Aha! That's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to look at this image. I know you can't see it. It's okay. And I see that, honestly, if you're going to be low enough to the ground to be looking and seeing those mushrooms at the size that I want them, really, realistically, you're going to be seeing just this bit of the root, which actually works out really nicely, but I am going to pull it this way a little bit just to kind of pull that closer to the intersection lines so that it gives a little bit more. But there you go. So this is the bit of the root, and there's maybe going to be like some moss on it, maybe, and like maybe there's like another split off a little here, something like that. Cool. So there's that. References, 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 guys. I'm telling you. So there's that. And then we'll say I want it to be pulled that way. So when you look at this, if the first thing you see is the tree, it's going to bring your eye down this way. So I want something to kind of pull my eye back around, which is going to be, we'll say, this mushroom right here. Now, because my horizon line is so far up here, I'm going to be seeing the tops of these mushrooms. So there's one. And then, say there's going to be this one. Just kind of sketching them in. We'll say we have this nice big one here, which you would be able to see the top of to about here-ish, I think. And then it would kind of curve down in. I got a phone call, so I'm going to mute myself for a second while I take this. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Okay. So that was the top of that, and then there's kind of the stem that comes down. And in this case, because I'm in the sketch stage, I'm actually going to bring it all the way down because I want to make sure that I don't miss, like, if this part of this mushroom is going to be visible. There's that. Kind of don't like this one, so we're gonna get rid of this one. It's not a good position. So the way this is looking right now, if this is gonna be my vanishing point, I'm gonna change that. We're not gonna call this my, fuck. This isn't gonna be the vanishing point. Luckily, I haven't used it so heavily that I couldn't change it because I want to make it this. We're gonna put it right next to it so it really kind of pulls the eye there. I'm gonna make sure. Yeah, okay, cool. Blue Jay, hello, it's going pretty good. How's it going with you? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a soothing Sunday. Ouch. Alright. So the way this image is working right now, I'm actually about to change it just slightly. Because, ooh, here's a big benefit of working digitally, by the way. So I'm noticing, excuse me, that the eye comes in here and follows down, and this mushroom brings you back in, but this one, it's a little jarring. If I do this, so that it kind of leans in. And then I smooth this out a little bit. Now it kind of pulls you back in. You feel that? You look at it, your eyes followed. I don't know how much you can see my mouse moving, to be honest. Can you see my mouse moving? Yeah, you can. Okay. So it, like, your eye comes in up here currently, and it pulls you in, and then the slight tilt to these mushrooms kind of pulls you back this way, right? So now we need whatever is going to attract my attention to this spot. And I'm thinking we'll do, look at this image again. want to do it... Yeah, okay. Just looking at some stuff. Good, just playing some games before work. Glad to hear it. Always glad to hear when people are doing well. So if there's, say, a path through this wood, and it's kind of leading off in this direction, right? The scale that we're at is small enough that you probably wouldn't see it till right around here. And said path would kind of head towards the vanishing point a little bit here on the horizon line, right? And then but also with the scale we're at, it's not gonna go completely because otherwise the depth that's gonna be added is gonna be more than I want. So we're gonna, the image would become too deep. Too deep! Kind of come back. Like, say... Actually, we'll just... Yeah. So the path is gonna hit the horizon line and just kind of keep going. Like that. I'm maybe gonna put like one top down here, a mushroom, just to kind of keep that smooth feeling going through here. What else do I want to add? Maybe there's like a stone here. Maybe just a little piece of earth. Maybe not even a stone, maybe just like some ground. I come this way. And then... Is there anything else I need to add at this point? I think at this point the composition itself is pretty good, and the background is going to be pretty like out of focus. So I don't need a whole lot of a base sketch for that, because I'm just going to be, again, implying like shapes and trees maybe in the background, but we're at such a small scale that it's going to be hard to see that stuff anyway. So base concept wise, this is pretty good. These mushrooms do kind of have like little dots all over them a little bit. That looks like oatmeal. Don't eat it though, I doubt it's good for you. Just kind of remind myself this is here. And then this one you're seeing the underside of, so it kind of is doing that. And the moss on the tree, we're gonna have it kind of, it's gonna come down into this crevice here, and we'll have it kind of come up over here a little bit. Maybe get like a peek out right there. Cool. I'm gonna take a quick break real quick. I need to hit the restroom and refill my water and stuff. And when I get back, I'm gonna probably start working a little bit on the line work just to show you guys how I'm gonna do that. And then we'll see where we go from there. But yeah, I'm just gonna real quick, bathroom, water, and we will return. I will leave you guys with the music, and I'll be right back. Alright, we're back. We back. So, what I'm going to take now, I'm going to take the sketch in purple that I did. I'm going to knock down the opacity on it a bit so that it's not, because when you get a lot of layers going, you got to go, it was fun. Bye, Wiz. Thanks for coming and hanging out. I appreciate it. Have a soothing Sunday. Once you get a lot of layers going, your brain can start to like get a little bit of a sensory overload because it's all competing for your attention. So putting things into the background using that is very useful. Very, very useful. I'm gonna knock that down even more. Yeah, there it is. Oops, that went to 0. There we go. Cool. I'm gonna create a new layer, and now I'm gonna start naming shit. So, excuse me, these are my guidelines. This is my base sketch. And this is gonna be my line work. Now, a couple of things. As I stated with the background, don't use the white. Use something closer to white. Like this color that I have up here, where it's this little bit of gray. Same thing with black. You don't want to use black. You want to use a very dark blue that looks black. And then I'm going to switch to, actually wait, I'm going to use the airbrush for this just because it's a little bit more of like I can go whoosh with it. This is where we're going to start getting into the things that I don't have explanations for. I'm just like, this is just what I do. So bear with me. Especially in the way of like, I don't, you know, a lot of people will be like, I'm going to draw a tree and I'm going to hold my pencil down and it's going to go over here and then over here and then over here. And I'm like, okay, so here's part 1 of the tree and here's part 2 and then we're going to get rid of that. Like, some of this might get a little tedious because it just, I have bad habits too. Slightly less than amateur, guys. I'm not a professional. I have bad habits too. Okay, so if we're at a scale in this size forest, I'm gonna leave this stuff blank back here because I think what's gonna happen after I do the line work is I think I'm probably gonna use a brush similar to that tree painting to imply the background rather than trying to draw bush or trees with proper line work, because what the fuck is proper line work? Which means if I follow my rule of starting in the background and moving to the foreground, which is not just my rule, it's just a really good thing to do that I never do, we're gonna do it this time. Yay! So let's think about a path through the woods. Is we're not gonna have it be a paved path, therefore it's gonna kind of have, what is up with, my brush density is down, that's why. I'm gonna kind of do, it's gonna be a bit of a rough, and yeah, we're just gonna, it just goes like that. And then this won't be here because that's gonna be in the mushroom, which is fine. And we're gonna kind of do the tree next, because I want the tree, I want my brain to think of it as past this mushroom. I want it this way further. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna let the line kind of waver a little bit. It's gonna give it a more natural look, and I'll even leave that little bit of an extra eraser that I did. It's gonna do that. Notice I'm not varying my line weight very much right now. That's okay. My weight takes a little bit of extra time rather than doing it at the outset, but based on how I draw, this works better for me right now. And then there's gonna be, there's this root that kind of comes down here. Well, I did manage to vary my line weight a little bit there. That's nice. That. No, I don't want that there. That'll work. Okay. And then these mushrooms kind of have like little almost nodules at the top that are those dots, but they're at the top of the mushroom as well as like on it. So I'm just kind of doing a little bit of an up here and there so that I don't have to go back later to add those. Just kind of making a little bump. And then honestly, they're just kind of like little, yeah, they're just like this. I really don't need to do like a lot of them at the moment, so we'll just leave it kind of like that for now. And then we'll do this one. Actually, let me. Okay. Yeah, I'm really gonna have to fix this line. Shit, actually, we're gonna have to redo that whole thing. Adding line weight is easy. Taking it away is much more difficult for me. So rather than having to try and redraw that line that I made far too thick, it works a lot easier for me to just have restarted it. Oops, too heavy. There we go. Yeah, they do connect here. Okay, and then this has got like this effect going to it, right? Oops. Just like that. Then it's got the little, oops. Okay. It's got the little thingies on top of it too. Let's do a few of them. Kind of imply. And then this is gonna come down, just like this one here. And we're gonna do a little bit of it there, but not much. And like little things like this little extra hook over here, you can leave those. It'll help make things look more natural if you're trying to do like an actual nature scene or something. Is those little mistakes can add a feeling of randomness that allows it to feel natural. I don't know what other word to use, but sometimes, whoops, sometimes that helps a lot. There we go. Alright, and then there was going to be, I said what? There was going to be some ground back here, and I can put that in nice and lightly. I can, well, let's maybe add to that just a little bit. There we go. Okay. And then from there, what we're gonna do is, so this line, oops, at the back, I'm gonna ever so slightly make it kind of fade a bit more. We're gonna leave this part where it is, but as it goes this way, it's just gonna, I'm just gonna kind of fade it out. Just like that. Let it kind of feel like it's going. The tree should be pretty constant until it comes to about here, because now it's going to come towards me a little bit. I want that root to feel like it's coming at me a little. So we're going to thicken that up just a little bit. And then where it touches this mushroom, we also want to thicken that up, remember. And then the mushroom is closer to the screen. Closer to me. We're gonna just go back over that nice and thick, just like that. This one I kind of did unintentionally. It kind of comes forward all on its own, so I don't really need to do anything to that one. This mushroom is going to be almost as close to me as this one. So we're going to do that. This is ever so slightly further out. So we're going to do just a light one on this. Oops. If I can get my hand to cooperate. Okay. And then these touch here and here. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of thickness there and then kind of blend it in just a little bit, because that's gonna give that impression of overlap. Just like that. And then technically this is also overlapping as well, because it's overlapping its own stem. So I did a little bit there too. And then do this. Oops, too much. And there's overlap here. Cool. A little bit of overlap here. This one is a decent thickness. I really shouldn't have to add too much, I don't think. Maybe just a little bit here. I'll blend that into that a bit. Same with this. Oops. And then we'll make this line a bit thicker for the same reason. Oops. Because there's that overlap again between the stem. These are pretty sloppy, but honestly, I don't want to take the time to fix them. So the reality is I probably would with a more intense piece. But for now, I'm just gonna kind of give them a little bit of this. And then I'm actually gonna knock down their opacity, because these are not gonna be nearly as visible as I've made them. And this will remind me of that. And also, because of the way I'm doing it, it's not super consistent, and so it'll give it a slightly more natural look again. Do this. Make this just a little bit thicker, just a little bit. And this is crossing over with the path behind it. We're gonna thicken that line just a touch. And then let's see how it looks. Not terrible, because here's the thing. If I do this and this, wait a minute. Selected things I shouldn't have. Hang on. Wait just a second. I gotta close off some of the areas it's getting through. I didn't do the path quite as properly as I should have, and so that's making selections difficult. Hello? Is that the last one? Please be the last one. Boy. Aha! There we go. Okay. So now you can kind of treat this like a coloring book, because I'm going to create a new layer underneath my line work. I have selected the area that would be the path. I'm just going to make the selection part look invisible now so that I don't have to deal with it. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to select the brown. I want like a nice deep brown, maybe a little bit towards the like the yellow greenish. Nope, not towards the yellow greenish. We're going to go a little bit more the other way towards the red. I want a warmer one. Much better. Very nice warm tone. So there's the path, right? And then we're going to make the tree a more realistic color, so I'm going to slightly desaturate that brown, and I'm going to make it a little bit lighter. And I'm going to go to another new layer and deselect what I had already selected and go bloop. Select the tree. You know, I think it might be better to go for a darker brown rather than a lighter. Oops. That lighter just doesn't quite do it for me. It's not quite what I'm looking for. So instead, I'm gonna just darken that up a bit. Perfect. Then this part over here that's supposed to be ground. We're gonna make it a little bit green. So like what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the brown that I have, leaving this where it is. I'm gonna click over to green. That green is the same saturation and like level as the brown, so it should actually look pretty good with it. Do this. Oops. Yeah, not bad, not bad. And then the mushrooms, the very tops, are that interesting, like, reddish, whatever I want them. So we're gonna plop over here. They're a little bit more towards the pink than the orange, so we're gonna come over here. And then without moving the saturation level, or trying not to at least. That's a little too bright. Let's go a little bit darker than that. Yeah, there we go. That's a little less eye smarting. So there are the mushrooms. And then I feel like this is probably pretty close to the color I'm looking for. Hang on. So the mushrooms are like kind of a creamy-ish tan color. Hello? There we go. Which is oftentimes kind of hard to catch or to recreate. Kind of like skin tone is often a little bit harder for me. Also, this part of this mushroom needs to be included in this without it being green. So we're gonna do that. And this. Damn, I had a feeling I was gonna do that, so I have to do this by hand. Hang on. Could have just added a line to the bottom of the mushroom, but you know, we never do things the easy way around here. Okay. So let's see how this works. Oh, perfect. Oh, I don't usually get it that close on the first try. I can also do it this way rather than using the fill tool. And then the background, honestly, is probably gonna be something like this. See how easy this is? Because now that it's fully colored, you can see the path and how it's supposed to be kind of disappearing off into the wood. You can see the tree. The mushrooms are pretty well defined. And honestly, I could leave this blank up here if I wanted to. I probably won't if I move forward with this piece. But like, there is an image here. And as your brain comes in, your brain comes into here, moves you back around. You come down to the mushrooms, which then take you here, and the path takes you back up. So there's a nice way to keep you inside the piece as you're looking at it. And honestly, that's pretty much it. The only thing that I didn't really tell you guys about is the color stuff. And the only real tip that I can give you on that, to be honest, is aside from Googling color theory, if I pick this pink, colored right next to it, like the purple or the blue, will give it a comforting feel if you put them together, like next to each other. Whereas if you pick something directly opposite, like pink and green, it's going to give it an activation feel and make it more energetic and also potentially eye smarting. So two examples of that would be here we go. Let me open this. So blue and pink. Those two are next to each other. This yellow is across from the blue, and so there's a little bit of an activation feel from the yellow. Um, but at the same time, the yellow's working in tandem with the greens over here on the Wanderer Bard, so that you can get kind of that full feeling to it. I'm trying to think if I have. Yeah, I have one other one I could show you that really expresses like the comforting feel. I don't know if I have one that does. Ooh, this one is in the slideshow you've been seeing. Blue and yellow. This image has movement to it because of the colors. Like, it feels active. There's also a piece I never finished and really wish I had. Other people look at it and do see a finished piece. I look at it and don't, because it, for reasons. But anyway, and then like, we'll say something like, I don't do a lot of, I tend to go more for a comfort feel than like an activation feel, and so I'm trying to see if I have any that really give that. I don't think I do. That face. At least not that I can find quickly. But yeah, that's the basics of color theory that I know. If that didn't make any sense, or if you want to know more, I definitely recommend checking out Google and looking for color theory stuff, because it's really interesting, and literally just a touch of it will help with your choices on how to move with a piece. Alrighty, everybody. Thank you so much. I had a lot more people interested in this than I expected, and a lot of you were really active in the chat, and it was really, really nice to hang with all of you. There will be a VOD for this. I will be putting it up on YouTube as soon as the 24-hour embargo is up, so that I don't get slapped with anything for that. And again, if you're at all interested in purchasing any of the digital art, there's an email there that you can send me an email and inquire about. Otherwise, I will see you all on Tuesday probably for Tuesday, but I also missed Ori yesterday, so we might play some Ori tomorrow, or on Tuesday instead. We'll see what happens and how I'm feeling. Thank you again. You're all very, very wonderful people, and I hope this helps at least one of you in some way or another, something that I taught. If you have any other questions, feel free to DM me. I love chatting about this kind of stuff. And who knows, maybe in the future I'll put art stream as a redeem, maybe, again. But yeah, have a soothing Sunday, everyone, and I'll see you on